Hello, everybody! If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, and also making us late, is my co-host Tom. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hello, friends. I mean, come on. 2 minutes? 2 minutes isn't bad. I mean, we've been way later before.
We have, yes. But yes, Bob Goblin is correct. Tom late, bingo space marked. That's what we call the free space in bingo right there. That's just an automatic. You don't get any credit for that one. Yes. Tom had audio issues, as is not uncommon, and then we had to diagnose that and yada yada yada. Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about the new FAQ for 3.0 that we apparently got. That I'm not sure. I don't plan on playing any more games of that game, so this is pretty irrelevant to me. But we'll talk about it. And we'll talk about the AoS 4.0 news, that hotness coming in as we get some more previews of what's upcoming. We got two real spicy ones tonight. We got two spicy meatballs, and we've got the magic and praying, and we also have some battle plans and stuff like that. So a lot of info here, Tom.
You know we're not doing anything else
No,
until launch.
it.
Like, this is it. Just live in perpetual hype mode. You know what it feels like?
We'll probably do an old world show somewhere in here.
It feels like they learned the wrong lessons from Wizards of the Coast. That's what I'm saying.
Seems fine. I mean, we'll probably do an old world show in there somewhere. So, that's fine. All good. I look forward, because I really do want to talk about Bretonnia. We did some Tomb Kings discussion, but we haven't talked Bretonnia yet. And
is my audio bad? I'm
No,
running
you're
a
fine.
Sound Blaster card from 1994.
He's just talking about why you always have audio issues. Yes. No, your audio
Oh,
sounds fine
indeed.
right now.
Okay. I was wondering.
Okay. At any rate, but of course, first, as always, the news.
Rumor engine. Roll
Yeah,
that
it's nothing.
footage.
It's nothing. It's this. It's a 40K thing. Looks cool painted, though. Whatever it is. Like, it does look like it has a fun, chippy paint job, which is always cool. So that's neat. But who cares? Because it's some 40K claw thing. Okay?
Yep.
Let's talk about the real thing, Tom.
Dark Oath pre-order. Woo!
That is not it. We are talking about this, Tom. We are talking about this Skaven. This is what
Okay.
this is. Look, let's go. Okay, that's all I gotta say.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying the Skaven that is neither an engineer nor a warlock? That one?
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Just checking. Just checking.
He's a warlock.
Got it.
He's certainly an engineer. Sorry. Yes, you're right that he's not a spellcaster. Yeah.
Right.
So,
And I mean, yes, he's augmenting. Like, yeah, I'm assuming his engineering stuff has to do with augmenting the Jezzails and his War Scroll abilities.
yeah.
But I mean, in that sense, I agree with Honest Wargamer. Like, I agree with Rob here. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's a weird set of rules for this model that it's like, where's the power armor, people? Like, we've waited this
regular
long.
Warlock. This isn't the Arch Warlock.
I know.
This is just the regular little boy. He's always been just a little boy.
I
He never had
I
power
just
armor.
didn't know that they had sniper rifles. That's all I'm saying.
Well, first of all, Skaven have always had sniper rifles.
I
And-
understand that. I understand. I'm talking about the warlock engineers.
I mean, they didn't before, but they've had many different kits throughout their
Indeed.
history. To be fair, original Warlock engineers, that thing, Skaven Warlocks, just had like sticks. They went from sticks to guns to rifles. You see, Tom, it's a progression. Yes, you are correct. So this boy's on a 5-up save. He's got his little musket. I should have brought down his War Scroll, but I didn't save his War Scroll. 2 attacks with his musket on 3s and 3s. 2 rend, D3 damage. He's got crit, auto wound. He has melee attacks that are Garbo. And he can set his damage on his musket to 3 damage, which is awesome. But if you roll a 1, then you hurt yourself, which is fine. You're doing that every time. Let's go. And yes, he can ignore the Guarded Hero ability, which is the new Lookout Sir, which basically just says you get -1 to hit rolls for shooting attacks for the hero, as long as they're not a monster or a war machine. But if they are infantry, then they can't be picked as a shooting attack made by units more than 12 inches from them, as long as they're within the combat range of a friendly unit that is not a hero. So, super cool.
Yeah. I mean, do you like his sculpt? Do you like the sculpt?
I do. I do. I like this guy a lot. I mean, I'm super biased. Like, let's be fair here, okay? But here's my suspicion, Tom. I'm gonna tell you. I bet this is the worst one of the whole lot. That's it.
I
That's
hope
what I'll
so.
say.
Like,
What don't you like about it?
I'm not here to be super judgy because like I love Skaven,
Mhm.
but it's a very like static pose that
Okay.
is like it reads as pensive to me,
Okay.
which is not a disposition that I associate with Skaven.
Well, the engineers are safely tucked in the back of the line with lots of other Skaven in front of them that have to die before they're in danger. So, he's got
No,
no
I hear
reason to
that.
be worried. He knows he can't get shot.
Maybe, maybe. I don't know, man. Like I just it like the vibe that you read off the model does not
Mhm.
read Skaven to me. It reads Cities of Sigmar.
Hmm.
Like if you swapped the head
Mhm.
with a human here,
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, cool, a new Cities of Sigmar engineer.
Okay. And
And
took
so it
off a
just
little
like
mouse.
yeah, well, no, because there's a bunch of random animals on the new cities models, anyways, right? Like
Okay.
there's a bunch of random like between them and this Soul Blight. Thinking about the Cursed City guys, right? There's just animals all over the case. All I'm saying is that like just the vibe of this is weird to me.
Okay.
Um, and I don't and like I couldn't put my finger on it, but he doesn't feel like it doesn't read as Skaven. Maybe he's too like not hunched, right?
Okay.
Like he's like
He is
straight
very
back
upright.
and
Yes, he's looking.
yep,
He's looking through his little thing.
like
So
very
assuming he's
broad
got to get up
shouldered.
over the other ones. Yes. So hence
Yeah,
he's
like
like
very broad
doing
shoulders.
that.
Like it's just again, it's just a very not Skaven-y pose. And that's
Okay.
like it just strikes me as unusual.
Gotcha.
So
I like him a lot. I think he rules. I like sniping. Sniping is cool. I'm okay with the fact that this dude's not a wizard. That's fine. He didn't like need to be a wizard. Assumingly he'll unlock, scryer stuff in his regiment based on the army building rules. And the fact that both he and Giselles can then snipe is just very dangerous. Like that's a super high value for this dude because he puts your heroes on notice, especially since he's still got actually quite a very long range for his gun in a game where we know the ranges will be shorter. So
yeah, like I don't know, man. Like here's the other thing. Like the gun's pointing at the air. Like
yeah, it's
really?
down. He's like holding it. He's
I
not aiming
know.
it right now. He's got to
I
figure
know.
out where the person is first before he shoots at them.
I'm just saying, like, it's just a very like I expected him to be aiming or shooting at people, not just
I
chilling.
Gotcha. I don't know. I'm okay with it as it probably because it's an aesthetic difference to the Giselles themselves, who are all
Sure.
probably, I'm sure, actively aiming and shooting, right?
Maybe some of them are cleaning their guns, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Like I just like it's a very like I could see this as like a store promo model,
Okay.
but it does not read to me as a very like standard release up front. Like I don't know. Again, the folks in the comments like weigh in here because it feels off and I can't put my finger on it. Like it's not a bad sculpt, to be very clear. It's fine.
Uh, I think this guy absolutely rules. And like I said, my feeling is he's going to be. I like him less than the Clan Rats. I'll say that. But I think he's going to end up being the lowest rated sculpt, and I still think he's awesome. He's like an 8.
Yeah, your opinion doesn't matter here because we all know that your opinion is just going to be like tens. All of it's tens.
Yeah, of course. Duh.
Yeah. Yes.
No, they'll be 9s. Like the Clan Rats are 9s. You know,
Sure.
I'm reasonable. I'm reasonable.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is this dude rules. I like that he's upright. I like that he's looking through his little thing. Like basically everything you cited is reasons why I like him. Because he does stand out from the line of the rest of
Yeah.
the Skaven. Um, like my particular feeling is going down the road you're going down gets you a boring army like Fire Slayers, which looks stupid because everybody's just doing this. Because they're all the same. This dude has he's got a different vibe. He's chilling, and I'm here for that.
Okay.
So he's an engineer. He's a dude who's in the back sighting it up, talking to some other gunners, being like, "Let's kill that guy over there that I just saw."
I'm excited that we're gonna have 100 of these guys because they're probably gonna be in the launch box, and so we're probably gonna see a lot of him.
Sure.
Like, I'm assuming that we're seeing all the launch box right now. Like, everything that we're getting glimpses of are probably going to be in the launch box.
100%. Yes.
Which means that you can expect Jezzail's in the launch box.
Yeah, I would. Okay. It's this simple. I can't, I hate it that I have to say this again, but Tom, we watched the trailer for 4th edition. Yeah?
I'm aware. Yes.
Were there Jezzail's in the trailer?
Yes.
Then are there Jezzail's in the starter box?
I agree.
That's it. If you want to know what's in the starter box, it's some big rat riding another rat. It's clan rats. It's Jezzail's. It's an engineer guy, right? And then on the Stormcast side, it's those things we've seen. It's just like, it's that stuff. There'll be like new prosecutors in there, and the other thing, axe guy, people we saw, and the new liberators. It's just, were you in the video? Because they clearly know what they're going to put in the box, and then they send the order out to the animation company and say, all of these figures should be in this thing, right?
Right.
And that's what they work with, because they don't put anything in there that's not gonna, in the trailer, that's gonna actually not be in the launch box. It's exactly like 40K 10th, right? It's just a back and forth of the things in the box.
Yeah.
Cool. This dude rocks.
I mean, he's fine.
Yeah. Yes, that is correct. He can't set his damage to 3 if he moved. That's absolutely right. The ability is a reaction to him declaring a shoot ability for this unit if he was not set up and has not used a move ability this turn. Yes.
Everything's an ability.
Everything's an ability.
Turtles all the way down.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, the big giant claw lord on other sort of weird beastie. Yes, correct. Certainly we'll see that character. I'm excited to see how that guy's going to be. Like,
the rat on rat activity.
The rat on rat action. Yeah, absolutely. Vince, do you think that the clan rats are a little too individualized for line infantry? How many eye patch guys will there be? No, I don't think so. There were eye patch guys before. It was on the storm vermin heads. The storm vermin heads had eye patch guys. They had 2 different heads with some kind of eye thing on the old existing storm vermin. Clan rats had actually multiple pretty different heads. Some were bare, some had little spikes on them, some had little helmets on, all that kind of thing. So no, I really think the clan rats, they did a good job of that's the command unit part of what we're looking at there, which is should be more complex. So that's fine. Like musician, standard bearer, leader guy, yeah, cool, fine, they stand out. But with the rest of them, the what we saw, I think they're fine. They just look like updated clan rats, really. I still think they look relatively straightforward and simple. Okay. Cool. Yeah, this guy, he rules. More Skaven, please. Skaven, please. It's just all just show us all of them. Just show us all of them. What are we doing here? I guess giving us stuff to talk about during the show. But anyways, very excited for this guy. All right, now Tom, you can talk about your thing. Yes.
Yeah. Launch-ish box for Dark Oath. This should probably have dropped a while ago. I don't know, maybe. It looks great. I like it. The Fiend's kind of weird. They have some pretty bonker rules. I don't know if you've looked at the rules yet.
I did.
I love the new Marauders. Although I will say, as a business decision, I think it's quite odd to launch this box at the same time as you are discontinuing all of your various cultists in Slaves to Darkness.
Sure.
Because while I looked at this and I was like, man, that would be great. And then I thought, I have 60 models that I can use as Marauders now that have no other purpose in the game. And
sure.
So
you just got to get them all into the right base and you're good to go.
Right.
Whatever these are, 28s or whatever.
Yeah, like put them on 28s, which most of the Warcry stuff was on 28s already.
Right.
And so, like I'm not buying this because I was like, oh, I have a bunch of Untamed Beasts and other stuff that are functionally just Marauders that I don't have any other purpose for. So I will never need more than what I already have because of the discontinuation.
Just take all your different Warcry warbands that got discontinued, put the few little weirdos that aren't on 28s on 28s, right? Like, the weird things, and then just shuffle rifle shuffle or whatever all together. Just there you go. Like you got
Cypher Lords and
you got a Cypher Lord in there. And, exactly. Just all chilling together. You got a Snake guy. Yeah,
all of them.
Great
just
time.
all the weirdos. Mm-hmm. This is the weirdo army, and it'd be great. And thank you, GW. This is what you did to us.
Yeah, like some kind of weird Mad Max gang just coming after you, just a pack of weirdos. Like 80s Mad Max when they didn't look as similar, right? Like the Road Warrior here is what I'm thinking, where they everybody in the whole crew was just weirdos, just a pack of weirdos roaming around the desert. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All that said, I do like all the sculpts. I do like what they were doing here, and I do kind of want to buy the box just to have the rule book, which just sounds really silly.
Especially since that rule book is just really fast, quickly going in the trash within a matter of weeks.
Yeah. No, I recognize all that. I don't know about you, Vince. I have a bookshelf, and I have all of the dual box, the FOMO boxes, all the little blood or bone and blood or whatever the various box names are, all of those booklets lined up. It's great. And so I see this and I was like, oh, I'd love to add that to my the paperback collection. I'm not going to. I don't want it that much. I don't want it that much, but it's it's tempting.
Sure. I have bookshelves, as you well know. And they are not full of that. No, definitely not. But at any rate, it's fine. I appreciate them putting out the rules as a free PDF. That's very nice. Good stuff. I honestly didn't feel the need to review them in depth. They do feel a little overcooked, but who cares?
The rules are literally ipsum lorem text because they will likely never show up at an event before they're discontinued.
The vast majority of players of Warhammer Age of Sigmar will never play a game with these guys in these rules, because they will not get the box, get them painted, put them on the table before the middle of May, when we'll probably basically have most of the rules, because people will be playing it at an event, right? So I mean, it's certainly insanity. We're probably waiting till the end of June for the edition launch, but we'll have
truly insanity.
Yeah, we'll have basically the rules by the time we get to they're probably end of May or something like that. So okay, good stuff. Cool figs, not for me. Don't like the leader guy. There you go.
You don't like the guy on the horse?
No.
Or the wild beast? Really?
Yeah.
Is he too static or what?
I don't know. Just something about his chest and head.
Fascinating. Okay. Are there any of these that you do want to paint?
Nope. None of them grab me. Again, that's not in any way a bag on them. I'm not at any rate. Sure. I think these are very well done models. It's just not my speed.
Sure. Well, that's fair.
That's all. Again, everybody's got their own speed, so if you like it.
I know you guys. You like the guys in metal, not the naked barbarian.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. That's fair.
I don't know. It's just what's chaos to me. I can't explain it, but there it is. So but again, like what you like, I'll like what I like, and we'll both just be happy, and that's okay. It's fine. Neither person is wrong or bad in any way. Okay. Cool beans. So I think that's all the news, right? Is that everything?
Yep.
We didn't get to talk about it last week, Tom, but it's worth me talking to you about this, or asking about this, just in case you ever go to AdeptCon again. You excited for AdeptCon to be moving its location to Milwaukee?
Nope. I don't want to add another hour and a half to my drive. No thanks.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm just gonna fly there from now on. That's what I've decided. I did this year, and it made everything so much easier.
Did you?
So I guess I'm just doing that from now on.
Yeah, I mean it's probably the wise move if for those of us that are this distance and beyond.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, so it's moving to the Baird Center in Milwaukee. I wanted to get your take on it. I mean, if you ever actually go to Adepticon again, who knows?
I saw that and I was like,
I'm excited because it's a lot better space for it. A lot more room,
sure,
restaurants around and in walking distance. Like, it's just all good
yeah.
stuff. So, okay. Well,
We'll see. Is the answer? We'll see.
yeah, indeed. We'll see if we can ever get Tom to go to Adepticon again.
Sorry,
Driving
I like
8 hours to an event is peak Midwest Warhammer. I agree, Cast. Yeah.
I like money, and I'm getting paid lots of money to not go to Adepticon each year.
Sure.
So
I
it's
understand.
hard. It's hard to say no to that.
Sure. I get it. I get it. You like money more than your friends. That's fine. I
Sorry,
get
folks.
it. All right. So,
Well, we do have another announcement that I feel responsible to mention because I know you won't.
go for it.
We also had another announcement, which was the return of the White Dwarf, Gombrindal.
Oh, yeah. I literally didn't even mark this as a news item.
Yeah, I know, but I did because it's important to me. And so he looks great. I'll probably maybe buy him. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what I would use him for, because I'm not going to play Old World, and um, I don't expect that Duerden are going to last much longer uh, in in cities. So, but we'll see.
I don't know why you'd get rid of him. Like, why not? Again, there was no reason to get rid of anything that they got rid of that shares anything with the old world, so I don't know why you'd start here. That's my only issue.
We'll see.
Yeah, I guess. I have to believe they at least last the full edition, but who knows?
Well, we haven't seen the book yet. Like that's the key, right? Because
sure.
like once the book drops,
I think that would be a very dumb time to do it. Is my statement.
possible.
But
Yeah.
then again, many of the decisions they made with cutting the models were dumb. So I'm not putting
But
it beyond them.
here we are.
But here we are. Yeah, yeah. No, I understand. I understand. I wish I had some logic way to rebut your fear, but no. Sadly, here it is. Okay. Jonathan Straw says, "Oh God, Midwest again." Coming from Rob's chat, is all of the U.S. in the Midwest? No, but yes. That's the answer to your question. No, but yes. This is the home of wargaming, baby, of gaming in general in the Midwest. You're welcome. You're welcome, rest of the world. All right. Because the only reason that Games Workshop exists is because of the Midwest. That is there you go. That's it. I can trace that line and stand behind that completely factually.
It's a bold statement.
I stand by it. The only reason it exists in its current form is because of the Midwest and the U.S. There would be no current Games Workshop, any of that crap, were it not for the Midwest. So there you go.
Actually, historically, that's probably true, given the influence of.
It's not probably true. It's 100% true. I'm not just making this up. I'm saying this. This is a factual statement. But you know,
that's true. That's true. No. Actually, in retrospect, you are 100% right. Yeah.
There you go. So at any rate,
it's back in the 80s, folks. Look it up.
Yes. So Jake's Sofa said, also, how dare you, Vince? The clan rats look great. I said they were a 9. That's a 9 out of 10. I think that's a positive review. Okay. Cotton Leedy, why was the Midwest so important? Sure. I'll explain this in very simple form, since you asked. Because the Midwest, specifically Wisconsin, specifically Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and the associated area around that, was the home of Dungeons and Dragons, created in 1974, roughly. I mean, obviously, that's when it was first launched. And that's when it grew very rapidly over the late 70s, especially as additional sort of cleanups and printings of the game came out. And Games Workshop certainly existed before that, but it was basically a little tiny gaming company, like people who make like ball and cup. Throw the ball, it goes in the cup. Like that was the thing they made. And then this tiny company out of Nottingham in the UK secured the right to distribute Dungeons and Dragons to the UK, which had been already growing in popularity from just like people effectively mail ordering it from across the ocean and had no formal distribution. And GW like got the D&D license and then decided they wanted to start doing things like making figures to support D&D, and that's when Citadel got in the mix and all of that, and their rest is history. They then made a knockoff D&D wargame pseudo thing in first edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle in 1983, which was very much just like we read D&D and then turned it back into a wargame.
Right. They leaned into the wargame aspect of RPGs, with like the wargame origins of RPGs, and now we have Warhammer.
Yep, and that D&D license would serve them well. So there you go. That's how the Midwest gave birth to Games Workshop in its current form, as we think of it.
Sure. It allowed it to flourish.
Yep. At any rate, there's a fun history lesson. Let's move on now to the actual show. Okay. Tom, let's do some pick of the week. What do you got for everybody, Tom? What do you want to share with everyone?
I have two vendors that I want to spruik.
Okay, sure.
One is Mini Stomp. I just got another order of stuff from Mini Stomp, and I both received an order from Mini Stomp this week, and I have another order on the way.
Sure.
Because that's what happens. Is when Warhammer comes, it just keeps coming. And so Mini Stomp's where I get all of my models and all of my GW stuff from. And so for those, especially those that don't have local stores, or those that have stores that don't have reasonable deals, some of the best prices on the market you'll find with Mini Stomp. So I want to encourage you to check it out. And then the other one is I received today 2 mats from Gray Matter Gaming, and I love them. So I had old Frontline Gaming mats. I had a couple 6x4s and a 4x4, and so I finally wanted to get I wanted to stop having to tape off my mats, and so I got an appropriately sized AoS one, and I also got a 3x3 for Shatterpoint, and I love it. I love it all. The mats were just stellar, and nice. So if you're looking for a high quality tabletop mat, wonderful resolution, and even with their mats, they include a little Velcro strap around, inside the bag. They have a Velcro strap, and they have the firm tubes to wrap, to roll your mat around, which my other mats didn't. And so it was just it was a big quality of life increase, even though it was something that was super small. If you're looking for a good mat, Gray Matter Gaming.
Okay. Very nice. Will the AOS mats remain the same into 4th? I mean, we have no reason to believe they would change. I believe we've hit the size they want, because that's the size of 4 Warcry boards together and so on. So I don't see any reason
that's what I was going to say is there's a decision that they went to the size that they went to, and it actually it fits with a number of different variety of factors, including even the Warcry board, and then the boxes that those boards fit in, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's packaging concerns. There's the size. I believe they're concerned about the size of some kind of average gaming store table, or whatever the standard table is. They were trying to fit to that as well. There's all sorts of concerns they did when they shrunk the size just slightly.
Yeah, and the Warcry board is the default size for the Vanguard Spearhead encounters. And so all of that is intimately related.
Yeah. My pick of the week is going to be, and this is a fun thing to say that they've intentionally punished us all with, but I'm here for it. My pick of the week is going to be Jugs, the podcast. So this is the new podcast from Rogue Hobbies, and Rob, the Honest Wargamer, and Peachy. It's just the 3 of them, clearly sitting around in Rob's studio slash the TSN arena. He put in a fun light. He put in a colored light. So he went the full distance. But it's just the three of them talking and hanging out and having a good time, and they just share stories and talk about stuff. And it was really fun and enjoyable and great. All three of them are awesome people. And I mean, I saw he like shared it out. He put up episode 1, I think today. I watched it earlier. It's just funny that they named it Jugs, the podcast. They just kept saying, yeah, just go ahead and Google it. It'll be fine. With a Z, yes. Specifically the podcast. So yeah, it was just fun. And part of the whole first episode is them joking about the name and trying to pick a name, but I guess they decided this is what they're going with. So there you go. So shout out to Rob and Louise and Chris. It was pretty fun. Look forward to more episodes.
I wish all content creation naming could be that easy.
Yeah. They got my pick. That was for sure. Okay. Let's see. So that's mine. You can find link down in the description. I'll add a link for Mini Stomp and Gray Matter after the show. Okay. Let's move to some hobby time. Tom, you been actually paint anything yet? Or are we in the pre-4th edition slump where you're just not going to paint anything?
That's a wonderful question, Vince. And here's the funny thing about that. Things change when people are paying you to paint things.
It's true.
And so I'm working on a commission, and so I'm painting the commission. And so actually, like, I'm making great progress on the commission that I'm working on. And so I did a step on like 25 models last night across a bunch of Sylvaneth stuff for their blue glowy stuff. So
okay,
got a bunch of work done on that. So yeah, I'm excited. I have almost all of my Vanguard armies built. Like, I'm really close on all of the Vanguard armies. I need to figure out what I'm going to do for my cities basing before I build those models. But I basically have all of that done. And then I have some more stuff from Mini Stomp coming in. I have some new Iron Jaws. It looks like I think my son and I are going to do Cruel Boys Iron Jaws for Havoc this year. We're going to be brutal and cunning. So
okay.
And yeah, so I think we're gonna do that. And so I have some of the new Iron Jaws coming for him. Because you have to paint your own models. That's the rules. Them's the rules. And so
Tyler just recognized this last week, by the way, and had a panic attack.
Yeah, that's because Anthony and I were like, you have to paint, right? Like, and if you don't paint, Vince can't win hobby awards.
Yeah.
Like, this is what this is. So are you going to do that to Vince? Which, like, and he panicked in only a way that Tyler can panic. So it was delightful to watch him squirm. And so, yeah. So, but I've told my son the same thing. Like, them's the rules, son. Like, if you don't paint, we can't compete in those award spaces. So printers are a going for terrain stuff for the board. And so my wheels are a cooking. Thank you for Paul Castro for working on that. So, by the way, for those that don't know, a bonus shout out. I know that occasionally, if you have some 3D stuff you want printed, Anthony Pocastro has printers for rent. So you could reach out to him and he might
at Crazy Horse.
At Crazy Horse. I believe he's in the chat. So he's hireable. That's all I'm saying. Throw some money at him, see what happens.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's what I've been working on.
Stephen Powell said, speaking of Sylvaneth, Tom, do you know how long Dryads have been out of stock? I'd like to get some. Do I need to look at proxies? I mean, you can always look at proxies. I'm sure there's like plenty of 3D prints, but my guess is they're going to finally be repackaged or something, so they're not in the weird count that they are.
They're not in 16s that they currently are.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually anticipate that they're probably going to resculpt them if I were to take a guess. And so just because they're on 16s, they're on 8 per sprue.
Yep.
So that's problematic, right? Like,
yep.
Like they can't get around that in any easy way. And so I anticipate that we'll probably get I anticipate we'll probably get a resculpt if they even exist moving into the next iteration.
Sure.
So
Who knows?
I mean, the spite revs are like spitting images, like they're really close. And so not the tree revs with the spite revs. So we'll see.
I don't imagine they'll go away, but I mean, who knows? Again, I have to believe anything that's going to get cut would have just been cut right there, but I guess time will
Sure.
tell. My hobby time has been spent with this lovely lady here. This is Shiv from Inu Kingdoms. This is a bust that they from them and from that Inu Kingdoms line. There you go. And it's great, tiny little thing. I love this bust. It's one of my favorite of all time. A lot of people have done it, and so we're gonna do her up real punk rock orc style. And I am just having the time of my life painting this figure. It's incredibly beautiful. It's such an amazing sculpt. Yeah, it's just really, really good, and I love it. And I'm sure there'll be some kind of video about it, but there you go. That's what I'm working on, and just really working skin and light, the two things that I'm trying to focus on this year. So there you go. Okay, cool. Tom, with that, let's jump into the main segment of the show. And by that, I mean the next thing we're talking about, since there's no more main segment anymore. Let's talk the FAQ first. Let's get this out of the way. By the way, if you haven't hit like yet, or done all those things that make dings, you should do so. Be cool. Be cool. All right, great. So, yeah, do those things. It's fun, and it helps other people find the show, and we appreciate it. All right, so impending vermin doom. Here we go, Tom. Here's the new thing. What do we got on this first page? A hot bit of nothing. Next page. Putrid Blight Kings. Increase the range of the blighted weapons to 2 inches. Okay? It'll be 3 inches in like a month, but great. Okay? It's 2 inches now. Sounds good?
Cool.
Sylvaneth. Alariel the Everqueen. Increase the range of great antlers to 3 inches. All right, good.
Okay.
They are literally 3 inches long. So there you go. And then Spite Revenants increase the range of cruel talons and fangs to 2 inches. Those fangs can really get out there. Flesh Eater Quartz. This is actually a material change. Not that the other 2-inch things weren't. I mean, they're all fine. But this is actually those are all good quality life improvements that I'm happy to see. But Flesh Eater Quartz, command traits, Cruel Taskmaster. Change to, if this general uses the muster guard ability to return models to a unit, reduce the noble deeds cost of the first returned model by 1, or if the cost is already 1, you can bring back 1 additional model instead. Tom, you weren't running Cruel Taskmaster, I don't think, in your list.
No, I wasn't, and the reason why is because actually grand strats it's the hidden problem with the army. Like you need to figure out a grand strat that you can reliably do, and if you put this Taskmaster wants you to be up front line, and I would always do spellcasting savant, and so there's no way that I'm going to send my general anywhere near combat. And so I was like, I always had a arch regent as my general, and so like this was never an option because the reality is if you go this route, you have to choose a grand strat that is just bad for your army, like that it can get shut down really easily.
Gotcha.
And so it's actually like a hidden like hindrance to the army, and those that just want to kind of grab at power would take this trait, and then they would realize that they just have a bunch of bad options for grand strats.
Okay. I believe you. Yeah, I mean, this was always like a bit bent because anything that's just a straight doubler is very powerful, and that's what this did, right? Yep. Classic like exponential, not linear challenge. So okay, it seems like it's not good anymore, and that's fine. All right, I'm sure that for people who wanted this, they will not be taking this anymore. And yes, Travis, don't worry, I will definitely have some commander decks with me, 100%.
I will this year.
Do. Very good. We'll have to break up into multiple pods. We can't be playing a 12-person commander game. Okay. And then some point stuff. I mean, a lot of these are just like 10 points here or there, right? Little adjustments. Did anything on this list, Tom, jump out to you as being, majorly impactful in any way? Like, was there
Not
anything that really
really.
grabbed your attention?
No, like the
Go ahead.
point shifts, like the point shifts that we saw, particularly in Flesh Eater Courts, are ones that we expected, right? Like none of that was deeply surprising. The Arch Regent may still be undercosted in third edition for what
Sure.
he's doing, but he's still like I would still take him at 170, and it doesn't actually mess with my list at all. I just trade one down for a ghoul, a standard king on foot. So. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing seemed too egregious here.
Yep. I think the Blood Reavers going up 10 is actually a pretty meaningful change because a lot of lists were taking multiple packs of like 20 Blood
Yeah,
Reavers. So that is
yeah,
actually, it amounts to probably like 40 to 60 points in the average list for Khorne. So that's not nothing. Um, the Skull Reapers changed. Some people were taking like one unit of Skull Reapers. So I don't know that 10 points is really that meaningful overall. Some of the elements like the Idneth Eidolon's going down another 20 points, just getting cheaper and cheaper until, I guess they're going to be good. This is the sort of end of the edition hurrah. A lot of people getting some drops, especially on some stuff here, that especially armies that have not necessarily been doing great. I will comment that I like all of the drops in the Slanesh category because it was like a lot of stuff that's honestly kind of bad. But again, they're bad almost fundamentally, so making them cheaper, it doesn't do a ton of work. But I'm happy to see what they finally decided to drop points on.
And to be honest, I didn't basically look at these points at all because I'm not playing any events before the new edition comes out. Because
Sure.
I'm not desperate. Like there's no value, right, in me doing that.
Yeah. What did the Plague Furnace do? I mean, be really good is really the answer. Like it became the center of a lot of armies. It showed up in a ton of lists because it's like the only reliable piece you have in the army right now. And so it's like bells in a furnace. It basically became a strategy when they got so cheap. And then that became just in vogue, and so people went that way. I was happy to see a lot of the bad things in Seraphon get some pretty decent adjustments. Like all the things that the coalesced side of the house are going to take that want to play sort of monsters and things of that nature. So that's fine. But on the whole, I don't think any of this is like incredibly meaningful in a huge way where it's like, oh, now this thing unlocked because of negative 10 points or something. The place that's most impactful, as always, is on some of the units you're actually going to repeat, which there are a few of those around. I mean, Ardboys going down from 200 to 190 is like funny. We talked about how overcosted Ardboys were when that book initially came out, and talked about how the pigs were obviously overcosted, the Ardboys were obviously overcosted. Ardboys were just bad Chaos Warriors, and Chaos Warriors were cheaper than Ardboys. So it's like, where's the math here? Okay. So, there you go.
I like the new sculpts though.
Sure. No. New Ardboy sculpts are fantastic. Not just good, they're great.
Like I have 30 Ardboys, and I just bought a box of new ones because for Wes, because I was like, nope, we're not using that old stuff.
Yeah, sure.
They're beautiful. The new ones are.
My honest answer is I have a lot of hope for Ironjaws in the new edition because of the identification we've seen around like the focus on roles, right? And what's clearly been lacking in Ironjaws was that like they don't have a lot of units, but they just need a defined role for each unit. And it's obvious to me that Ardboys have always been the anvil unit. We saw their like shield bash in the article, right?
Yeah.
And that, like, obviously we haven't seen the rest of their scroll, but that tells me they're going to be the anvil defensive strategy, take a punch unit. That's how they'll be built. That's appropriate. That's fine. Let's make and then let's, split it up accordingly, right? So we'll see how they do, but my hope is that through role definition, we actually get some like a really interesting Iron Jaws force. So
yeah, my son. So we played a game this weekend, and my son was like opted to use the new rules for the shaman, like the new shaman.
yeah,
And he's a really interesting piece, given like who knows what his points are going to be at. But just as for like what he does on the battlefield, it's just a very interesting piece to that army now.
sure.
Because of his shooting and because of the one spit became shooting and the like it's a real interesting support piece as opposed to what it's been in the past.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So I mean, overall, fun stuff. I don't think the Mutalith Vortex Beast going down 10 points to 150 is going to suddenly open up the Mutalith Vortex Beast meta. But hey, why not? That's fine, man. That's fine. Whatever you like, guys. This is like when a president who's already like going out of office because the election's passed, term limited out, right? We already all know who the new president is. It's that period in between like November and January when they get sworn into office, and they make some big executive order, and it's like, look,
Okay.
are you still here? Okay, when's the new guy start? Right. That's all this is.
There are a couple big events before July, right?
I know
there's there's some international stuff coming. There's like a War Worlds or whatever in July. That will
I
be
understand.
on the old rule set, and no, I get it. It's fine. Like I understand that these War Scroll changes needed to be made, and that's great. You know what? I'm glad that they're still doing stuff, right?
No,
like
it's very
right.
nice.
Like
yeah.
That GW,
I'm not hating it. It's fine. Thank you for doing it. It's just like they're trying to stick to their schedule, and it's appreciated. It's just like I personally, this is just me speaking for me, and probably the majority of AoS players, that it doesn't matter. But that's okay. For that small sliver of tournament players who are going to go to like 2 more events before the edition rolls, congratulations on your new rules. Congratulations on your minus 10 points on Kato Etchazar. I'm sure that's going to be the thing that tips you over into your awesome Radikar the Beast Kato Etchazar list. Okay. There you go. I don't know who would rather play 3rd than 4th since we don't even know what playing 4th means yet. Hades, I guess, would be my answer.
That's what I'll say is this. We started playing this weekend with some of the new rules. And I love the 3-inch reach.
Sure.
Like that was a fun set of rules to play with and stuff like that. So I am dearly looking forward to the new edition.
Yeah, no. I was just saying, sure. If once 4th comes out and you see all the rules and you're like, no, I like 3rd better. Hey, more power to you. Like what you like, as always. But we don't have all that right now, so I don't know what the point of comparison is. That's all I'm saying.
Indeed.
Okay. Cool. All right. Let's leave 3.0 behind and jump over into the world. Nope, not you. Not you. There you go. All right. Let's jump over here into our Supreme Sorceries and Powerful Prayers. I am going to assume Tom shut his camera off on purpose. There you go. All right. Okay. So, let's talk about magic. How about it?
Yep.
You ready? You ready to talk magic?
Cool. Sure.
Okay, let's get amongst it. Of course, we had to open up with the only thing, the master of magic, the Fat Frog. Always the greatest spellcaster in the mortal realms, just like the other 3 people who also claim that title. And but the Fat Frog. Okay, casting and unbinding magic. Blah, blah, blah. Each spellcaster in the game is identified by the keyword wizard, which is followed by their power level, which is a number in brackets that determines the number of spells, unbinds, and banish abilities that they can use per phase. Okay? All right. So a hero with the keyword wizard 2 could fire off a single spell and still attempt to banish an endless spell or invocation. This is going to be relevant in just a moment because remember, there's there's a new ability to cast a spell in the enemy hero phase. So, and that will by necessity happen after you have cast all of your spells.
Yep.
Okay. Unleash spell, as it were, right? But let's take a look at the Weird Knob Shaman, the aforementioned. So here he is. Speaking of our iron, like, I don't know what this model is. Is this a new model, Tom? Did they just add this to Iron Jaws? I haven't seen this one before.
I know you've never played a wizard before in your life, Vince, in your Iron Jaws list, and that's fine. He's a nice sculpt. I like him.
I don't understand. Where's his armor?
I know.
Is
It's the little dangly bits on the edge of his robe.
Oh. He should get some real armor. His fists don't look like he could punch raw iron into shape with his fists.
But those tusks on the side of his head.
Sure, I guess. Okay. So, let's talk about him. He's 6 health, 6 up save, 4-inch move. Why is he still a 4-inch move? Are just Iron Jaws slow? Like, I understand why the dudes replete in heavy armor are slower. That's kind of like a thing, right? I guess.
Right. But you think
it's not a thing anybody else pays for. Like, apparently Chaos Warriors and everybody else trudging around in heavy armor still gets to move 5 inches. But for some reason, orcs just have to be slower. Yeah, I don't get it.
It's really curious.
The literal strongest creatures that just keep growing forever and ever are the ones who are slow. But okay, sure, whatever. Orcs move 4 inches. Got it. Understood. And he's got 2 control. So he's got his ranged weapon now, which is his puke, 10 inches, 4 attacks, 2s and 4s, no rend, D3 damage, which can shoot in combat. So he can hurl on you, even in combat. And he's got a passive ability called Brutal Power. Add 1 to this unit's power level while there are any friendly Iron Jaws units that have 10 or more models wholly within 12 inches of it. Cool. I hope our boys are good, I guess, because that's going to be the only time you get to 10. I can't imagine the new Brute scroll that would make me reinforce them. Maybe it exists. I don't know. Could be, I guess.
I love him. I love him so much.
Oh, and he's still got his wizard stick. Yep. He's still got his bonkin stick. And as you can see, he is in fact a hero, wizard, 1, infantry. Okay. But he becomes wizard 2, because it's power level, when this turns on. Becoming a double caster is pretty good. So hopefully there's either a reason to have a reinforced unit of brutes, or our boys are good. Mm-hmm. Hopefully. Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. He's a member of the Ministry of Silly Walks, which slows him down. Yeah, that's a good point. He's got that, like, kind of... Maybe he's got spina bifida or something. You know, it's a serious condition.
Sure.
I mean, if that's the case, I'm sorry I made fun of him, right? Like, that's a serious condition. He should get that looked at. That's unfortunate. I'm guessing the orcs do not have good health care. So that's probably a negative for him in his life. But yeah, okay. So you said you actually use these rules, right?
Yeah, this is the ones that he played. Like, he used the normal points. I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And then, we played, as you're going to go farther on, like, we played the lore rules as well. So he had the full lore to cast out of. And yeah, it was fun. It was a neat, it created some neat kind of tactical opportunities for him to be in the right place to, like, move up with the PC. Wes was actually running a unit of Ard Boys, and so he kind of just hung out with them and did his thing and got extra casts and provided some support vomit, and it was great.
Yeah, I like the puke weapon. I think that's good. Yep. Easy to hit, hard to wound.
2s and 4s.
Yeah.
A hilarious rule.
I want to see more crap like this. I want to see some 2s and 5s crap like that. You know what I mean? I want to see a model with 5s and 2s. That's like, for real. I want to see, like, some big dumb brute wielding, like, the biggest choppy axe in the world, right? And it's like 5 to hit, 2 to wound, or 2 to wound, rend 2, 4 damage. You know what I mean? Just like, yeah, let's go. Okay. Because it's just like no accuracy, but if it hits you, it just cleaves you in twain, right? Yeah, let's see that differentiation. I'm here for it. We got, we talked about on the show, too many things just got to, like, it's all 3s and 3s. It's all just 3s and 3s, right? Yeah. We've talked about the Stormcast hero profile, and I hate it. I just hate 3 2 or 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 2. I sleep. Okay, get out of here. All right. So that's fine. And yes, a couple things to note. Yeah, no Orc War Clans keyword, whatever that means. Could mean something, could not. Who knows? The book could just be called like Orcs, and just have 2 armies in it or something.
Or it could be 2 separate books.
Could be 2 separate books. Sure, absolutely. Yep, 100%. I hope it is. Split them apart. There's no reason for us to be in there with those other losers.
Well, because I would suggest that maybe we had combined books because they were never gonna waste paper on Savage Orcs. And so if they weren't gonna do that, they had to be lumped in with something. So let's just lump all of them in together.
Yeah. That could be. Look, I'm here for it. I really hope we get 2 separate books. Get those. Give me book The Coolest Orcs and book Swamp Bogglers. All right? That way I can buy one of them and ignore one of them.
That just it means that I'm going to have to buy both.
Well, I mean, you won't have to buy anything at launch because, PDFs,
Indeed.
but sure.
Indeed.
I agree, Eric Doty. 2s and 4s and 4s and 2s is more fun than things being on 3s and 3s. Yeah, I agree. And there is a material difference there, by the way, especially with the way like hit bonuses and wound bonuses in the game play out. Okay.
And 4s and 2s, almost 3s and 2s.
Sure. I guess depends on how much bonus to hit we have across the board. We know obviously we know all our attacks still around, but like what else is around there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's no Orc War Clans keyword there. That is an important thing. The other thing worth mentioning is no War Scroll spell on him because assumingly they don't need a War Scroll. Most casters won't need a War Scroll spell anymore. For reasons we're just about to read, which we'll talk about that. And I want to get your take on this. Like he has no War Scroll spell, and you might think, well, geez, does that mean he's only going to have 1 spell to cast, as we currently think of Magic? What happens when he becomes Wizard 2? What happens? Well, let's talk about it. Okay. Spell lores have changed in the new edition and are selected as part of constructing your army, which we did know that. We just didn't know what it meant because they mentioned that you select a spell lore and a prayer lore and a manifestation lore. Pick a single spell lore, and every sorcerer in your army can attempt to cast any of the spells from that lore. This means you no longer need to keep track of which specific Weird Knob Shaman knows Mighty Edbutt. You can attempt to cast that spell with any of them. So you pick a spell lore, assumingly, I think it actually says in here somewhere it has 3 spells in it. Or is this down here, maybe? In the little things. I don't know. I think they're probably 3 spells. And, and then you know those spells. Cool. Okay. All your wizards know all that. Great. So everybody's got a minimum of 3 spells they can cast. Not to mention manifestations.
Well, we're assuming... Maybe we're also assuming that Arcane Bolt and like that we still have the same 2 generic spells, Arcane Bolt and
I'm not assuming that, but that's why I said minimum.
Oh, you're saying minimum 3. You're saying 3 from the 3 lore scrolls.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting because I mean we can keep going on manifestation, but it seems like everybody's going to get their own manifestation lore as well. Like you'll get to choose one, is what I would say.
Yeah.
And so, which means that everybody in general will probably have at least 6 spells to choose from, which is their 3 lores and at least 3 manifestations. Maybe.
Yeah, depending on which you end up picking. But I like this. I like I like just everybody having the lore. I think that's great. You give them the lore, everybody gets all the spells. Fantastic. Use whatever you want every turn. You're not trying to like balance out like, oh darn it, I need this guy to cast this thing, but he also needs to cast this thing. Like, no, great. Okay, just y'all have the spells, do your thing. And assumingly with the magic-based armies, they'll have, options and stuff like that. Like I assume Tzeentch and things like that will have ways to sort of bend that so they have even more spells they have access to, as would be appropriate. So
it'll be interesting to see if like armies have multiple lords that they can choose from. So I could imagine a world where we might have 2 or 3 different lores available to any one army, and then when you army build, you have to choose one of those.
Yeah, right? Sure, absolutely. Like I imagine Tzeentch and LRL and those kind of things will have multiple lores, right? I don't agree, Hades. I don't know why it would reduce flexibility if you have multiple lores. Like, what would be the flexibility reduction? Like, if you like, assumingly those armies will have some way to take multiple lures or something like that. Like, it
I
doesn't necessitate that it reduces flexibility.
I think the fear would be that it forces all of your wizards to only use spells from one lore, as
Sure.
opposed to having access to multiple lores. Because as it's written right now, it seems to suggest that when you select, like, you'll get to choose a magic lore, and when you select magic lore, all your wizards can cast anything from that lore.
Correct.
And so I suspect the fear is going to be, because before, like with LRL, you could choose, you had different wizards that have
Yeah, yeah,
access to,
yeah.
you
100%.
could pick and choose spells.
Yeah, one assumes that like for the heavy magic armies that they know where you have like 6 different casters, right? That you're
Yep.
going to have options to select additional lures or something of that nature. Otherwise, the army would become non-functional. So
Agreed. And I suspect that what we saw with Nagash is going to be indicative of those armies that have like high, like strong wizard, like mega wizards. So I'm thinking about things like Teclis and Croak and Nagash, where they will likely have a War Scroll spell, I'm
sure, of
guessing.
course, yeah.
That, and then that War Scroll spell is castable multiple times, just so that they can fill out their casting allotment.
Sure.
And so with Teclis, it'll probably be like his Protection of Teclis, or one of those, like his big boom, right? And it will likely be a multi spell like Nagash, and Croak NATO will probably be the same. He already had a multi spell, so I suspect that the Celestial Deliverance or whatever. I suspect we'll be seeing that type of multi unlimited style spell on the War Scrolls.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the answer, Hades, is I don't know. I'm sure that they will account for things like that in the individual indice for LRL, but we haven't seen them yet, so I can't speak to it. I have no idea. But one assumes that you just don't have 50 different wizards as you do in that army, where you literally can have like 10 wizards on the table and they're all just fighting over the same 3 spells. I'm sure they didn't write that. That's what I can be pretty sure of. This entire edition seems quite thoughtful.
And I would suspect that most of the Lumineth have lost their ability to cast spells. That would be the other thing that I would anticipate.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to assume that. I don't know for that at all. Maybe, maybe not.
Well, having seen what they did to a Warlock in the Skaven army, like,
sure,
it would not surprise me if many of the units that were wizards lose their wizardness, just like all the Stormcast chamber, that was, the whole thing was wizards. They were basically removed them as well.
Again, I don't know, man. That's facts, not in evidence. Like, I don't know what the rest of this Skaven looked like. Like, sure, they could have pulled it off the Warlock, but you still have all your Vermin Lords, and they could still be Mega Casters, and you have your Grey Seers and stuff like that. They could have just decided to relegate to sort of delegate magic to particular things like Arch Warlocks and stuff like that.
And all I'm suggesting is that it would not surprise me if they did that similarly with Lumineth, where they baked into those units.
Yeah, made it an ability instead of needing to cast a spell. Sure.
Yeah, that speaks to.
I mean, I'd be way for that if it was just like use this ability and a thing happens instead of everybody needing to cast a spell. That's great.
And speeds up the game infinitely.
I agree. Ardent Throne, magic is for nerds. Yeet it from the game. Now we're talking. Now we finally got. Now finally, I see you were a man of reason and class as well. Okay. I mean, Lore of the Weird, Mighty Ed Butt. Pick a friendly Ironjaw's wizard to cast the spell. Visible unit within 18 inches. Make a casting roll of 2d6. Target number is 6. You inflict d3 mortal damage on the target. If the target is a wizard, inflict 3 mortal damage instead. Okay, fine.
So headbutt nerds.
Headbutt nerds. Yep, fine. Great. It's like a d3 mortal damage spell. I'm never going to get excited about that ever, but it's fine. I've long been a proponent of higher damage spells, but clearly that can go too far, as Blizzard taught us in the last season here that we're still currently in. So that's fine. Okay. But, however, no more than one friendly wizard can cast the same spell each turn, unless that spell has the new unlimited keyword. And even unlimited spells can't be repeatedly cast by the same wizard in the same turn. Casting rolls are still 2d6, and if it's a double 1, you take d3 mortal damage and can cast no more spells in that phase. As we saw, Nagash can ignore this, right? Yeah, okay, fine, good. So assumingly the lores will probably have like one unlimited spell. Again, I've been playing a lot of Old World, and so this puts me right in mind of the signature spell, right? Yep. Where you can like, it's always the one you can default to. It's kind of the just like baseline vanilla of the lore, and yeah, that's fine. So okay, cool. Unbind. Here's how unbinding works. Reaction: opponent declared a spell ability used by a friendly wizard within 30 inches of an enemy wizard casting the spell. Effect: make an unbinding roll of 2d6. If the roll exceeds the casting roll for the spell, then the spell is unbound and its effect is not resolved. This reaction cannot be used more than once per casting roll. Okay, so but they can use this ability multiple times per phase based on their power level, but only once per casting roll. Important thing here, Tom, which is worth talking about now before we get into prayers, is unleash spell. So let's say you got a power level of 2. And that's your only wizard. Okay? Your enemy has unleash spell available, right?
Yep.
You cast in both spells, or you keep in one in the pocket to use on the unbind.
I mean, it depends on what I'm staring down, right? Like, especially if they're sitting on like a strike's last spell or something like that, that would severely hinder, combat potential.
Sure. Yeah, it's that's an interesting little choice point there, right? Unleash spell is going to be pretty darn impactful. Now, of course, when you unleash spell, you have neg1 to cast. Like that's not nothing.
Okay.
Neg1 is a big deal on a 2d6 roll if these casts are all 6s and 7s.
Sure. No,
moving them up 1 point is actually quite statistically meaningful in your percentage chance of succeeding.
If the numbers are 6s and 7s, then sure.
Yeah, sure. Right? I mean, like, that's moving a 6 to a 7 is a pretty large mathematical difference in the amount you succeed on the spell. Right?
Yep.
So, just a thing to mention. I don't know, man. This feels like the kind of thing where you're really making that choice, and you're like, well, do we risk it for the biscuit to go for the second spell, and then just have to eat the unleash and hope they fail their roll? That'd be interesting. That'll be interesting. That'll be an interesting counterplay sort of.
Well, and likewise, they will have to save their unbind, right?
Sure.
Like they're gonna have to save their unbind.
Yeah.
Or save one of their spells to use
100%. Yeah.
And not use an unbind.
Depending on the wizard, how the two wizard situations and the combined like power levels you have squaring off against each other becomes very meaningful, right? Even an advantage of like one power level over your enemy can be quite meaningful because of the way unleash spell works. So you have like that one in the pocket.
Did I miss this, or was unbind unlimited?
It's unlimited. It says, yeah. An exception to the usual restrictions on abilities, a wizard can attempt to use the unbind reaction multiple times per round based on their power level, but only once per casting roll. Okay.
It just wasn't, there was no signifiers in the ability itself, which is like that caught me, as surprise.
Yeah. No, totally fair. Totally fair. Okay. So magic, pretty similar. Like there's some interesting nuance there, but for the most part, we're still dealing with magic as we've come to know it in AoS. But let's talk about that thing that changed a lot, and that is chanting prayers. Okay, the gods have cast their divine light on the prayers in the new edition, which are now more powerful than ever. Well, that remains to be seen. And very different from spells. That is true, just based on what I've read. In some key ways. As with your spellcasters and sorcerers, your priests are marked out by a keyword in association with a power level, and we use a combination of prayer and banish abilities each phase up to that number. Okay, so Slaughter Priest. 6 health, 5 up save, 2 control, 5-inch move. He's got his big axe. That's cool. And let's see. He's got his blood sacrifice. Declare. Pick a friendly unit within this unit's combat range, so very close, within 3 inches.
Stab him.
Yep, stab him. You roll a d3 on a 2+, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll and gain a blood tithe point. Okay, cool. So you can just chop off somebody's head and gain a blood tithe. It must really... Let me tell you what, if I'm in the Khorne army, okay, and I see the Blood Priest wandering over to my combat range, I'm going to go stand on the other side of the unit. Alright? Like, I understand we can pull the model from anywhere, but I'm still, like, I'm rolling the dice. I'm going to go stand on the other side of the unit. I'm not standing near this lunatic. Just see, every round he kills one of us and then goes, for Khorne! This is why this army is not a finesse army. I don't care. Get this Johnny crap out of here. I didn't mention it in Pick of the Week, but shout out to Plastic Crack, who wrote a great article on Khorne 1 year later that I read today. And it was really good, and I agree with all of it. I do not agree with Khorne, the finesse ballet army. And for all of you, like, Khorne is the tactical master of war. No. No. He is a war master. I will give you that. And he has some concept of tactics. But most of his tactics are run at them and hit them with an axe. You don't get okay, Patton or whomever, pick your favorite general who is known in history as a great general. Julius Caesar. Let's go with that. That's far enough in the history that nobody's going to be like offended. There's no, right? Julius Caesar was a tremendously good general. Okay? Julius Caesar's motto was not blood for the blood god, skulls for the throne of Rome. Caesar cares not from whence the blood flows. Okay, I'll throw my own units away as easily as my enemies. Get out of here. He was an engineer. Okay? So, I'm just saying, we're overstating the tactical prowess of the lunatic madman army. Now rant over. Okay.
I will say, there is one interesting consequence of the way that this is written. And that is that it seems, and we've begun to see this at the end of the edition, and I wonder if this was a design direction change.
Mm-hmm.
But we've begun to see allegiance abilities and things that contribute to allegiance abilities written on war scrolls. And it makes me wonder if we're moving completely out of a world where you will ever use these units outside of their allegiance.
Define
Right?
what you mean.
So, for example, like as an ally, right? So for example,
I just don't
Blood
think we'll have
Sacrifice,
allies. I mean, I think it's that simple.
right? And like this, and this is what I'm teasing out, right? Is that I
Yeah.
suspect that this is another sign that allies are going the way of the dodo, and maybe even regiments of renown, right? Because a blood sacrifice is literally ipsum lorem text if you don't have anything to do with blood tithe.
Sure. Sure.
Right. So like this is not like that is a nonsensical ability if this is not in an army that has blood tithe.
Yeah.
And so I just bring that up just to suggest that this could be further evidence that we may not have allies or even regiments of renown like bring wholesale being brought into an army.
I think you'll have regiments. I think that is just what allies will be. I mean, I think that's how
Maybe.
they'll do allies.
Maybe.
But they
And
want
so
to
then
do it in a
maybe-
controlled thing that they can like tweak the points on specifically of that regiment, right? Like their
Right.
goal is to get allies under control and stop weird broken things, clearly, right? They're aiming at balance. And so what they're going to do is in these rules say you can use this regiment, it can go these places, and then if it turns out to be too strong, they can just knock the rules with the points around on that regiment, right?
Sure. And I agree with that.
Without
but
touching any of the underlying models in the home army. That's the key.
Yep. But what I'm saying is the more that you see these abilities with like faction specific like rules on them,
Sure.
the less likely these will be either included in regiments or useful in regiments, meaningfully useful in regiments.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And then this dude can unbind like if he had wizard one. Cool. Okay, that's fine. And he's a priest. Priest one. All right, great. All fine. Cool. Slaughter priest. Yep, got it. He makes blood tithe points and unbinds and prays, assumingly with some kind of prayer. What kind of prayer, you might say? Well, maybe like this prayer, for example. How about that? Okay, here we go. Every prayer will ask you to roll a d6 chanting roll, and on a roll of 2+, your priest gains that many ritual points, which will accumulate over multiple turns. Each prayer has a chanting value that you will need to match before it will be answered, and many include a higher value that can power up the resulting miracle even further. For example, a slaughter priest can choose to unleash the Witchbane Curse to weaken an enemy wizard once they've gathered 4 ritual points, or hold out for a chanting value of 8 to also deal 3 mortal damage to the target. So let's see what that looks like. Witchbane Curse, chance on a 4, so 50-50 shot, right? On the first roll. Pick a friendly Blades of Corn priest to chant this prayer. Pick a visible enemy wizard within 18 of them to be the target, then make a chanting roll. Effect, subtract 1 from the target's power level to a minimum of 0 until the end of your next turn. So, I mean, pretty powerful effect, honestly. Mm-hmm. Like, if a lot of wizards are power level 1, you just shut off their ability to cast spells, right? Like, that's not nothing.
Yep.
In addition, if the chanting roll was an 8+, inflict 3 mortal damage on the target. Okay. So the important thing to talk about here is, one more little rule to this, which is building up your rituals comes with a risk, and the Gods and Age of Sigmar can be extremely petty. So a chanting roll of 1 loses you D3 ritual points. Prayers cannot be unbound. So there you go. Okay, cool. Now, let's talk about this, Tom. What do you think about the buildup of this over time? Like, what's your general take on this new system? This is like net new.
I have questions. Okay. So if I have priest power level 2.
Okay, sure.
And I chant, because it says that you can choose to hold out.
Yep.
Right? So
yeah, like you roll, right? Let's assume we're going for Witchbane Curse. You've got priest 2.
Sure.
Let's assume that exists in the game, which it might not, by the by.
Which it might not.
Right?
Which it might not. Right.
As it stands right now, I think there's one priest that can chant two prayers in the entire game. Right. So at any rate, but let's assume it exists. I roll for. I try to chant. I'm gonna roll for a chant, Witchbane Curse. Yep. I roll a 3. Okay, so I've succeeded on the 2+, but I didn't get high enough to get this thing. So I have 3 ritual points. Right.
Right. Okay. Well, actually, I would rather have a conversation. I am not unclear about how that works. What I'm unclear about is this. Okay, let's say I roll 6. Roll out of the box. Sure. Right.
Great.
Okay. I now have a choice on whether I want to expend it to have this prayer answered, or I can hold out and wait for the 8, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that dice now associated with that prayer? And so if I'm a priest 2, do I roll another dice for another prayer and begin accumulating?
Gotcha. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Is it just a generic pool of ritual points, or is it like per prayer?
Right, because the way that this is written, it's not clear. That's not a generic pool of ritual points.
Right.
And so like, do those stack, or like, are they separate, or can you do other prayers or other actions in between accumulating points?
Sure.
Like, could you start one, hold it, do a different one next turn, and then come back to the other one and either pray it or auto fire it?
Sure.
Like, right. Like, there's like, I have so many questions about how this works, and none of them were answered in the article.
I agree. But like, I really hate how this is written. This is some bad marketing copy, which again isn't unusual, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because, hey, what's up, Adam? I see Tabletop Minions here working. He's hip deep in the layout for our next game. Yes, coming soon. So get hyped, people. It's going to be a big one. But at any rate, hey, hit like for Uncle Adam being here. How about that? Just hit like for him. He'll know. I'll refund the like to him later over on his channel. I'll send it along. Don't worry. What we actually needed here, Tom, was the rules block for the action of chant prayer, right?
Yes.
That ability.
Yeah.
Because
it's probably like 2 paragraphs. To be clear, like, it's probably not. It's not a quick like gloss.
Okay, put it in here. You wrote a bunch of copy in these paragraphs where you like kind of danced around and sort of pseudo summarized what's allegedly happening without just giving us the rules. Just give us the rules. You introduced a totally new system here. That's what's happening, right?
And tried to summarize it and give examples in 2 paragraphs.
Yeah. And I'm just like, why not give us the actual ability and rules text? Who writes this stuff? Come on, guys. Do better. Okay? Because yes, there are people that like, does it build up per army? Like, are all ritual points accumulated over all your priests that are praying? I think the answer to that's no. That would just be out of control. It seems like
it's with.
It's clearly going to be per priest.
Per priest, because it talks about the risk of
We'll
holding
lose
it.
your priest
Yeah.
D3 ritual points. Yes, I
Yes.
agree. All the text in here seems to be saying it's one person building up one ritual, but I agree with you. Right.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and then it talks about how astute commanders will have to target enemy prophets while they're busy amassing ritual points, and so like it seems like those individuals are holding those points.
Yeah, it's clearly like the individuals carrying the points. That's fine. Like we can infer it. There's enough context clues I can
Yeah.
get it. But again, why not just put in the rules text so that I can actually just see it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
And at the same time, your question is very good. Like building up toward one, do I have to then finish that one? Can I do a different thing? Like can I chant at a different? Well, let's even if you're priest one, right? I build up, I fail. I decide to do a different prayer the next round. To those, I assuming those ritual points can just feed into the new ritual or something, right? But like it's just very unclear here what's happening. Now, once we get all those questions answered and we actually know how the heck these rules work, conceptually I like this.
It's neat. It's different. It feels different.
Yeah. It is kind of one of those annoying tracking things because now you're going to have to set a die next to the priest to mark his current ritual points and be like, does that priest have 3 wounds on him? No. That's not, or sorry. Does he have 3 damage on him? Not wounds anymore. Or whatever. No, this one is his damage. This one is his ritual points that he's building
Right.
up. Oh,
Well, you're gonna need to carry D20s for your ritual points.
sure, I guess.
Or
mark it with like a D12 or something, right?
Yep.
Okay. And yes, exactly. It does seem to imply, Bronny, that when you spend your points, you spend all your points, right? Like it's just whatever you get as the total thing, you flush them all out when you actually then chant a prayer. Yeah. You can't like hold some back. You're not getting a tax refund on that ritual. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw 6 at this. Like,
well, no, yeah, it's not like because imagine a world where you're like holding out for that 8. You roll a 6. You roll a 6 again. So does that mean that you fire off your 8 and the next turn you auto fire off a 4?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think you just flush the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
but we don't know because it's not clear.
But because they didn't write all the rules here, but they could have just put in an ability like they have for literally everything else they've explained.
Yeah.
That's what's so crazy for me. Okay.
It's nonsensical.
Martinez, leave it on the side of the table. Don't have to follow him. Martinez, what happens if I have 3 priests? That's not going to work. You got to follow the guy around.
That's very real.
Yeah,
that's
like
very real.
I play a lot of armies that use a lot of priests, and they all gonna be praying. So I'm not sure what that means. I guess if I've got like a War Scroll card, I could set it on there. If I had 3 different War Scroll cards and they somehow were all identified with each matching figure in some way, but that sounds like something I'm not going to have. So there you go. Yeah, exactly. Like Fire Slayers, Skaven, depending on what you're running, right? Because you could easily have, it's been classic. You have like multiple Plague Priests and the Priest on Furnace and stuff like that, and all that's still around. So,
yep.
Okay, cool, great. But Tom, then the big one, the manifestation lore. This one is the one I am most concerned about. I have, I need the like concern meme here for this. Okay, all right, here we go. Endless spells and invocations are still in the mix. Parens, editor, narrator, unfortunately, close parens. These should just be like thrown in the ash bin of history. I really believe that. All right.
I know.
Anyways,
I know you hate it. It's fine.
I really do. I know it makes the game magical and blah 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 blah, but I still hate it. Okay. Instead of spending points to add endless spells when constructing an army, you can pick a manifestation lore. This grants access to a selection of endless spells and invocations that you'll be able to summon in battle. Okie dokie. Some factions will have their own manifestations, while current endless spells from Malign Sorcery and Forbidden Power, remember those? All of the figs that came at the same time of those that aren't these things we retired. Weird, huh? Alright, are divided into thematic lores. You'll find the infamous and ghastly Purple Sun in the Morbid Conjuration manifestation lore, alongside Suffocating Gravetide, Malevolent Maelstrom, and Soul Snare Shackles.
Great. I have all those painted. That's great.
Sure.
that one will often find its way into my lists because
That's my go-to as well, right there. That's the lore, baby. Absolutely. That is like, name the endless spells you have used the most. Top 4 answers on the board. Bing. It would be these 4.
Amazing.
Yeah. CW Kreider. Vince hates magic.
Yeah. He has not hidden that at all. Ever.
No, I think I've been very transparent about that. Yes, he does say. In other words, in other news, sky is blue. Yeah. He's right. I think I've been very transparent on my generic hatred of magic. Why is magic so fun in the old world and so bad in AOS? I don't have questions. I don't have answers to that. I'm just saying we should have went back to a card system like from 5th edition. You cowards. That's what we should have done. Okay. Wizards and priests both can attempt to use the Banish Manifestation ability to expunge these autonomous arcane forms. There are more ways to interact with these conjurations, which we'll cover in more detail next week. What are the more... I want theory crafting, Tom, but let's do Banish Manifestation first. It's just you banish the thing. It does what it is. It's what you think it is because it's just current.
Yep.
It's current dispel. It has a better name.
It's unbind for endless spells.
Yeah, then they're out there on the table. You can go bloop and make it go away. But you can only target a single manifestation once per turn, no matter how many people you have with banishments available. So, okay. Cool. Great. Fine enough. It is notable that in the declare, by the way, you don't have to see the manifestation. You don't have to be in line of sight.
Yep.
So, just a quick thing to note there. Yep. Assistant ref was on there right with me. So, I mean, good. That's good. Nadon says you're allowed to pick up a manifestation and throw it at your opponent's head. Man, I would be in for manifestations then. Bring them at your own risk. Okay? I'm ready. I'm ready to throw some heaters, Tom. That's all I'm saying. I will splinter that plastic on your head. That is what I'm saying. It will shatter. Okay. There are more ways to interact with these conjurations. How are you interacting with them, Tom? What do you think? What does that mean? Because, like, this is banishment. That's our current way of interacting with them. What else am I doing with them? Assumingly, I'm not, like, you can still move around them and stuff, and I'm sure they can't, like, move, block, and stuff like that.
I'm guessing is that there will be some generic, just like we have Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield, which are generic all caster spells.
Okay.
I am guessing there are some generic all caster invocation manipulation that will maybe push invocations certain directions so that allow people to temporarily arrest control and move them. And so then suddenly, like, or that it becomes like you do a caster check contest against their casting, like you both basically roll off a casting roll, and if the caster in his attempt to manipulate it succeeds, he can push it one time or rest control temporarily or something like that. I suspect we'll get something like that as well. That's generic, it's easy to do, and it can have consequences for everybody.
Okay. Like,
because if everybody gets an invocation lore, then everyone will like, these are going to be more common, and so you want everybody to be able to interact with them more easily than just getting rid of them. Like, because your other option, if people can't take control and manipulate movement, your other option is this: get rid of it. And so this would be the other way that it becomes a two-way.
Well, there is one more option. A couple of people in the comments have already snatched onto it as well. So I've got 3 options, okay, for interaction. One is exactly what you're saying. Like a lore that lets you steal, control, manipulate, whatever, like dominate the thing and turn it back on them. That's one. 2 would be ways to buff, enhance, manipulate, fire off your own endless spells. We have seen that on occasion in some Magic in AOS before, right? Where it's like, make the thing fire again or move again or something like that. Okay?
Yeah.
Third option is what Nodon and Red Million said in the comments, which is give them health and fight them. Like, if they're things.
Yeah.
If they're things, you can go punch.
That's nonsensical to me, though, because if you can literally make a roll and immediately kill it, like insta kill it, then then you're never going to use a power to do damage to it if you can just kill it with the same
I don't
roll.
know. I mean, like if you're playing an army without a wizard or something, it gives you an out against these things. If you can go
Maybe.
beat it to death.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
It's the most universal thing. Everybody's
Yep.
army can definitely go punch and or shoot things. That's like that is a
Sure.
you are no you, there are zero armies in the game that do not have that capability, right? So
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
Could be. It would be weird and a heck of a change, but man, it'd be I don't know. It'd be pretty cool. Like I want to go punch a purple sun in the face or whatever. That sounds awesome. I don't know. I mean, to do it, I assume you got to go fight the thing, so then you're getting into combat range with it. So it's kind of an
Do
interesting
you
set
have
of
to
extents.
charge it?
Probably. Who knows? I don't know. I guess.
Do you take mortals when you retreat from it?
I guess it's a thing. If it's a thing, like I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm saying
who
like
knows?
that would be the third. That's the third wild interaction method I can think of. Right.
Sure.
The easier methods are what you're talking about, right? Just give wizards other ways to play around with these things. That's the sort of logical routes. The third one's the wild card, the dark horse, but I gotta say, that's obviously the one I'm in favor of.
Sure. Sure.
So, there you go. Hades says, I don't think it's nonsensical because what people forget is that endless spells are sentient units. They are living and can be destroyed. Yeah, sure. I mean, there's like, what's his name? Could shoot them now. The guy and his daughter.
Yeah.
Van
Yep.
Denst. The Van Denst. His crossbow, he can like pop endless spells, right? So, I don't know. Maybe it's not that far of a walk. All right. That's magic. Anything else to say about magic, Tom? What do you think about magic writ large at this point? Obviously, we still got a lot of questions to answer, especially around prayers. But from what we see,
I love the like the universal granting of endless spells. Like that is super interesting to me. Like I know you hate it, and
So
that's
much.
fine.
So
It's
much.
fine.
The idea that every army list now has to have 3 or 4 endless spells with it, that's the implication here.
Sure.
Because like you're not paying points for this anymore.
Right.
So like the implication that you just like you as part of your army, you're bringing 3 or 4 endless spells sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, they want you to buy boxes. They want you to buy more minis, and this is a way to guarantee that. Because now, like, you need to buy all your endless spell. Like, they're going to repackage endless spells, obviously, into the
One
boxes
hopes.
of the lores. One would assume, and then it now makes sense that like you can choose the Purple Sun, Suffocating Gravetide, whatever lore. Or you can choose your Daughters of Cain invocation lore, right? Or you can choose your Flesh Eater Court one or whatever. So I don't know. I think it's a really interesting implication is what I would say.
Sure. Yeah. Bear said, Tom seems to think you get a spell lore and a manifestation lore. Why seems to imply you pick one, right? Now I don't think it implies that at all.
No, because it says you choose a spell lore, a prayer lore, and a manifestation lore. It specifically says that at the outset.
Yeah, when constructing an army, you can pick a manifestation lore. Like, I don't think it's saying you pick one or the other. I mean, who knows? Could be. Again, this isn't like written out clearly in rules text. It's marketing copy, so who knows, right? But like the way I read it was you're picking one of each.
Right, because you're doing that functionally. Because most of the time it's going to be mutually exclusive. It won't necessarily be for endless spells because wizards are also going to be tapping into endless spells. But some of those, like one has to assume that like if you choose the dock ones, you're getting both endless spells and invocations, the prayers.
Sure.
And so you're like, that is a mixed bag as to what you're getting and how you're going to be able to manipulate those things.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know that it's an or. I guess that's a good question to come out of this. I am assuming it's both. If it's both and you suddenly have... Let me put it this way. Here's my feelings on the magic article. Spellcasting, fine. No issues. Like the change with the lores, like that you get the whole lore So everybody has that. Cool. As long as they take care of the spelly factions to make sure that they're, they have extra lures and stuff like that so that they have the right variance in the number of spells, like your LRLs and your Zinches and stuff like that, then we're all good. And A+, good job, excellent work, go team, right? Like, good system, good stuff. So that's fine. Prayer lores, a lot of questions. Conceptually, seems fine, right? Like, from what is on offer here, it seems fine, is what I'll say. Like, it certainly makes praying.
I have questions.
What's that?
I said I have questions.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And it certainly makes praying good, because effectively now the only time you actually fail a prayer is when you roll a 1, right? Because you're always getting something. Worst case, you're getting ritual points. They're going to mean you almost automatically succeed on your prayer the next round. And the fact that, combined with the fact that prayers can't be unbound, just says, super good to me. Now, the manifestation lore, I hate it a lot if it's a separate thing you choose with every army. Like, I really hate it in that case, because I don't want to have to take 3 dumb endless spells with every army for free. I really, really don't want to. I do not want these extra things in my freaking army. I just don't. Get them out of here. Okay? That's number 1. And if it's a thing that you have to choose instead of your spell lore, then I hate it even more, because then it's like, what does that mean? Like, let's go through that situation. Okay? Let's say you have an average magic army. Something like Slaves to Darkness or something, right? S2D. You got like 2 wizards, right?
Yep.
The only spells they have, if they're both just basic wizards and they don't have lore like they don't have scroll spells, which is probably how it'll work, right? Unless you're somebody special, you don't have a scroll spell, is the ability to summon an endless spell. So you just like summon those, and then that's it. That's all you're doing the whole game, is just summoning those endless spells. That's really weird, right? And if they're all out there, you just stop casting magic, right?
Right.
Like,
right.
That's
my
it.
assumption. Yes. My assumption is that what we're going to see is, rather than them being the big boxes that they are currently, the current situation, I suspect that we will see them in their lore boxes, so that you're going to get 3 or 4 endless spells in a $60 box, and that becomes a new thing that they can sell, right, alongside the other endless spells. But now this is an evergreen box that any army can buy, and run these endless spells.
Sure.
So it now becomes a product that is appealing to everybody in every army across every line. And if you want to be able to build your variations, then you're going to want to own all of them. Like, to me, that's, from a marketing, like, product manager standpoint, I see that as like a huge win, and an easier sell, by the way, than a $120 box, $220 boxes, 2 that have all the endless spells across them, but rather a number of smaller products that they can individually market. Whatever the costs were of the endless spells, I don't remember what they were.
Yeah, sure. I mean, let me say it this way: if it is a separate thing you pick, right? So effectively, every army just gets endless spells for free, right?
Yeah.
If that's just a thing now, okay, then they better put out a new box and make those things available, because they're basically not available right now.
Sure.
Right. And like, what a weird thing to have to proxy, because they're so just like oddly generically whatever they are. This is my giant snake is probably the easiest one, the one in the picture, right?
Yep.
So, like,
yeah. I don't know. I mean, somebody made a comment about the sprues. I built my endless spells so long ago, I don't know what the sprues were.
They could have just broken up the lores based on the sprues, not on anything else, not on any thematic reason.
Which is a possibility, right? I know some of the spells were on their own sprues. Some of them might have been sharing, but I don't remember. If I remember correctly, weren't they on different color plastic? Maybe, I don't know. Like, some of them were on like bright blue plastic. I think some of them were on red. I don't know.
Let's say yes.
Yeah, I bring that up just simply to say, I like it would not surprise me if they go to the direction where you have a number of boxes of these, each box named after the appropriate lore,
Sure.
and then it's sold as a separate product. Like that
Sure.
to me, that seems like the low hanging fruit for how to re-engineer endless spells in a way that's meaningful and again, if you'll remember, like that stuff launched, um, like 2 editions ago, back in second edition.
Yep.
Like that's when this stuff dropped. And so for them to like they've clearly pivoted directions. They don't want to throw out the entire concept of endless spells. And so they're going to have to do another re-engineering of what the product is. And it would not surprise me at all if this is the pivot that they make.
Or they could just make one big box and make it super expensive. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Okay. Time will tell. This article gave a lot more questions than answers, but all right, great. Okay, let's go to the next section. Which is, Tom, Battlepacks. Sorry, I'm scrolled down here. Battlepacks and battle plans. Okay. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Warlords, tactical commands, yada, yada, yada. Okay, great. Cool. Fun stuff. Let's get into it. Before playing any game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, you'll pick a battle pack. Spearhead, Path to Glory, Match Play, etc. This will tell you which advanced rules modules you're using and provides a selection of missions known as battle plans and sometimes other modifiers on top of that. The First Blood battle pack is in the core rules for the new edition and uses all of the advanced rules modules found therein. First Blood has a choice of 3 battle plans for games that last 4 battle rounds. You'll need to score more victory points than your opponent to win, and the scoring here is simple. At the end of the turn, the player scores 2 points for holding 1 objective, 2 further points for holding 2 more objectives, and another 2 points for holding more objectives than their opponent, and 4 if they scored a battle tactic. Star, star. We'll get to this in a moment. In the First Blood battle pack, each battle plan comes with a different objective layout and a unique twist, a rule that can alter how you score victory points, provide the underdog, the player with fewer victory points at the start of the round, with a boon, or both. In the Stake the Claim battle plan, for example, the twist allows the underdog to choose an objective and prevent it from being controlled for a round. So, here is our... Now remember, this is our First Blood battle pack. So, assuming this is our 3 core rule battle packs. Here's what I hate already. Why is there only like 3?
Well, to me, it's like the subcategory of the subcategory of the subcategory. This is Battle Plan 2 Stake a Claim, which is part of the First Blood battle pack.
Yeah, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I don't mind that. Like, battle packs are battle packs. I've been encouraging them to use battle packs more, and it sounds like they're doing it.
Sure.
I'm all right with that. I just don't think 3 battle plans is a functional battle pack. I think you have put out... That is like... It's non-functional. That is a car with 3 wheels. No, I'm sorry. It takes 4 to make the car go vroom vroom.
Can we talk about how First Blood is for games that last 4 battle rounds?
Sure. I assume they're shorter games than the core rules things for some reason. Like, I don't know that doesn't say anything about what's going to be in the General's Handbook, right?
I agree with that. It's just fascinating to me that this is a lever that they're willing to tweak, which is the length of games.
Sure.
In the core rules.
Yep. This is the beginner pack I asked for. I agree, and I'm happy it's there. That should exist. It still uses battle tactics. More on that in a moment. Don't worry. But like, obviously, this is the article we've been raring up about. Talk about some battle tactics. We still don't get all the information, but we'll talk about it a little bit. But I just like the thing that makes me the most angry here is really three battle plans. 3. You couldn't do 6? Like, it was just too hard. Couldn't find those 3 pages anywhere in assumingly a 300-page book. We couldn't use literally 1% of our page count to make this into a functional battle pack for people who just want an evergreen experience. Come on, guys. This isn't hard. Like, it's so disappointing. And I know it sounds like I'm making a lot of hay out of something, but like, this means something, I think. This is your evergreen new player battle pack The simple experience for people who, not even just new players, people who just want the simple experience, who want to use the core book and know that it's there forever. Right? Make it functional. It's not that hard of an ask. And 6 is just a lot more with 3. Yeah. It just is. It lasts a lot longer. Okay. Anyways, First Blood is a fantastic framework for your first forays into match play games. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Cool. Now, that aside, I think the like twist and stuff like that, which we'll talk about more in a moment, is a perfectly fine idea. But we're going to need to go deeper on that. We're going to talk a lot about twists here in a minute, Tom, because this is going to be something that we need to go deeper on. For the first time ever, all your battle plans, battle tactics, and the 2024-2025 season rules will be included in the launch set. So in that box, we're getting our GHB. Okay. Cool. They did say it'll be available separate as well, which is good, but that's fine. Good. I like this. Positive change. That's a good change. Match play tournaments use the framework presented by the General's Handbook, and it's a great way of standardizing events worldwide. It also provides extra tactical challenges in the form of season rules, which may alter how you approach building lists or your strategic decisions on the table. All right. That's fine. So, 12 battle plans plucked from the past 8 years of competitive play and reimagined for a new edition, as voted for by the Warhammer Studio, playtesters, and TOs. A thrilling trip down memory lane for veterans, and a guarantee of robust battle plans for new players. Yeah, that's fine. Each game in this battle pack runs for 5 rounds, and each battle plan explains the scoring rules and any twists that might be involved. Border War, a firm favorite, from 2016, is back and gives us a glimpse of how scoring works in the new General's Handbook. So, Tom, let's take a look at this bad boy. First of all, I like the simpler deployments we're seeing here. Let's keep that going. Let's get rid of the stair-steppy, crazy, ridiculous crap to measure out. How about that? Let's just throw that in the trash. That's garbage. This is fine. This is how things should be. You can do the other way, too. Or something. You can do box to box. I like box to box. Box to box is fun. You know what I'm talking about? Like corner to corner. That's great. Corner to corner is great. Let's do that. Okay. Twist. Victory points scored by each player from controlling objectives are capped at a maximum of 6 per turn, which we'll see why in just a second. Add 1 to hit rolls for units in the underdog's army if they charged this turn and are contesting the objective wholly within enemy territory, i.e. you're the defender, you're attacking them holding this one. And you're the underdog, you get +1 to hit.
Yep.
I'm not necessarily upset about season rules yet. We gotta, like, season rules aren't a bad concept. It's about how heavy they are. My complaint with season rules was always they were way too heavy. It's a perfectly valid concept. It was just the execution was bad. Okay? So
army-wide,
course
+1 to hit on charge is really strong, though.
Only against fighting one thing on one objective when you're the underdog. It's not all over the board. It's fighting units that are contesting that particular objective when you're the underdog.
Sure.
But sure, it's a good thing. Okay. So how do these points work out? It works out the way you think it does, Tom. For holding your own point, you get 1. You get 2 points for each objective on the border, each, not for holding any. And then you get 5 points for holding the objective wholly within enemy territory. But obviously, you can't score more than 6. So, like, you know, it's interesting the way that maths out on the various things. So that's fun. And then you score 4 victory points if you completed the battle tactic you chose to attempt this turn. Okay. The underdog earns a little more bite when they attempt to contest the enemy's home objective and caps the scoring from objectives at 6 per turn. Battle tactics score 4 victory points on every battle plan here. This new scoring split makes battle tactics very important, so taking priority for the double turn becomes an even tougher decision. For each battle plan in the General's Handbook, your victory points each round will add up to a maximum of 10, for a total maximum score of 50. So that's just a universal thing on every battle plan. This makes scoring easy for event organizers to keep track of. The Vice from 2021 shows a variation on how scoring reaches that fixed 10 per round, as its objectives converge on the center thanks to the twist, which also gives the underdog a chance to chip away at their foe. There's something else here interesting with the Vice we'll get at in just a moment. So I loved the Vice. This is one of my favorite battle plans of all time. This is from 2021. At the start of the second battle round, it moved from the corners here
yeah.
and here. Okay. And then at the start of the fourth round, it moves.
They rotated it, by the way. I
center.
don't know if you caught that or not.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're not going long ways on the table anymore for the movement.
Yes, this was a long ways battle plan in its original incarnation. Again, good choice. And each player scores victory points at the end of each of their turns as follows: 2 victory points if you control at least 1 objectives, 2 victory points if you control 2 or more objectives, 2 victory points if you control more objectives than your opponent. In battle rounds 4 and 5 only, score 2 victory points if there are no enemy units within 6 inches of the remaining objective. Score 4 victory points if you completed the battle tactic you chose to attempt this round. Okay, the other interesting thing to talk about here, Tom, is this. What is this, my friend, but a terrain map? What? Okay, and you see it even has a little key. Area, terrain, or obstacle. Obscuring terrain. Place of power. All right. Don't know what any of that means, but it has examples. And there are area terrain examples: hills, storm vault. Terrain abilities: cover. Obstacles: ruins, debris, statues, barricades. Cover: unstable. Obscuring terrain: wildwood, fortress wall. Cover: obscuring, unstable. And then places of power: cover, place of power, unstable. Okay. Yep. Cover probably means cover.
Notice that it lays out the terrain map can be used for border war, focal points, shifting objectives, Jaws of Galay, and battle for the pass.
Yeah.
So it actually acknowledges that this terrain map is for multiple scenarios.
Yep. Okay. So Tom, let's try to reverse engineer this. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Cover, I assume, just means like cover, right?
Yep. Yep. +1 to save when attacking across it. Yada yada.
Yeah, I'm sure that's just what it means now. Okay. Obscuring, since they used the wildwood and the wall, I'm going to assume that means like it blocks line of sight in some way.
Yeah, I would assume is that it blocks line of sight. Yep.
Right. I mean, that feels the 2 examples they picked are like line of sight blocking things. So I'm going to assume that's probably
what do you think unstable is? Like dangerous train test?
Maybe. Like I don't know.
Moving across it potentially causes damage.
Maybe there's so many things with unstable that don't necessarily fit. Like I guess
penalty to charge, like a penalty to charge, or reduced. Yeah, again, because I'm thinking about like where it says like the debris, the ruins, even wildwood would seem to have that concept, right, of it being unstable.
Oh yeah, but so do the places of power. They all have unstable. So that's why I'm thinking like it would seem if places of power are a thing, because I assume places of power means like this is a thing with some kind of special rules that you're supposed to go occupy and it actually does something, right? Like assumingly the terrain rules here mean that like if you're putting 2 of these things on the board or 3 of these things or whatever, I think in this map they have what
2.
They have 2 of them on there, yeah. So like 2 small ones. I assume that means go stand there and
get something.
And get something. So it would be weird to then put an ability on it that makes it so that model hurts itself if it stands there. Also, some of their examples are things you're supposed to go like in world stand on, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Creator Gator says unstable equals can't put a model on top of it. Oh, okay. That's an interesting idea. Okay. It's an interesting idea, Creator Gator. Maybe it's just like literally it means your models can't sit on the wall or something like that. Like they can't actually come to rest on the thing. Okay.
Maybe.
That may be.
Maybe.
Like softer impassable, basically, I guess was what that would be, right? Because you could move over it but not stop on it, I guess is what that would amount to.
You can't stop in the wildwoods?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. So, at any rate, yeah,
I'm going to say...
I hope you can't stop in the stupid wildwoods. Good. Good.
My prediction is this. If you run or charge across it, you roll dice on a 1, you take a D3 mortals. That's what I'm going to call for unstable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know nothing, but I'm guessing that that's what it is.
Yeah.
A runner or charge through it, you take damage. You have a chance of taking damage.
Yeah. Creator Gator says like a large base can't half sit on top of a ruin. Yeah. Probably just can't end base over the physical Wildwood bit. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Either way, if you couldn't
Well,
go into
then,
Wildwoods, I'd be super fine with it. You can walk through it, but you can't
well,
just stop there. Good. We can't leave models in the stupid woods.
well, and if you can't rest on it, that becomes super exploitable. If that's the case, um,
What do you mean?
because you like if you're like you could get into a spot where a model could, if it's farther than 3 inches from the edge of the rubble or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it would be immune to being in combat from big base things that can't sit on the
Oh, yeah,
rubble.
unless they go around.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. Interesting. I don't know. But it's I just like that we clearly have formal terrain rules. They are these things. We don't know what they mean, but they're things. They're in
Yeah.
there. So that's cool. Um okay. That's fun. Good. Good stuff. And I like terrain maps. That's good things. These are good things.
Yep.
You know, I think one of the first comments in the show was like they took Rob's Honest Wargamer terrain rules. It wasn't just Rob who made those. Even Rob would say
Sure.
that like that was a community effort there, and by several people who converged on a similar idea. But yes, they did clearly borrow that and good harvest the good ideas from the community. They should, especially when it's really obvious like that. There are still rules for player place terrain, as with the current edition, but each battle plan comes with a suggested layout for terrain, and the core rules provide an extensive glossary of terrain features, noting which size they are classified as and exactly which rules apply to them, which will give you a foundation to create balanced battlefields and provide event organizers with extra resources. Okay. Good,
I
fine.
wonder what it's going to have, like how that will, like, I wonder if there's going to be measurements for like terrain base plate, right?
Given what I know what Adam's working on, like literally right this minute as he's doing layout, because he was like texting me during the show. And he's like, I know what he's working on right now, Tom. He's literally working on maps right now. So that's very funny.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
So yes, I
That
do like
checks
terrain
out.
maps.
That checks out. Have fun, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting them terrain maps done for our upcoming game. No, they said there are still rules for player place terrain. I assume that's what faction terrain meant. That's what I was assuming that was. Michael Draft. All right. Tom, before we go into season rules, I want to pause
Yep.
here. I want to swing on back because we got a couple hanging chads we need to get back into. Okay, Tom, so much to my chagrin, battle tactics still exist. Somehow, battle tactics have returned. Okay.
Yeah.
But they are a lower percentage of your overall score. Okay.
Are they?
They are, yes.
Because they're 4 per round,
Uh-huh.
and there's 5 rounds, so that's 20 points out of a possible 50.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. They are exactly the same amount of your overall score. Apologize.
Yeah, no,
Nope.
they are identical. In fact,
I had to literally just do the fraction math there real quick in my head. Never mind.
Yeah.
They are exactly the same amount of your overall score. Okay.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
Yes.
So that math has not changed. The real question that we're going to have is that are they?
Assistant ref. No, I switched back. Switch back. Okay. They're a higher percentage of your overall score since there's no more grand strats. Because now it's like 25 doubled, right? So yes, they're percentage wise, yes, instead of out of 28. Okay.
What I will say is that it depends on the ultimate shape of what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real question, and I don't want to weigh into that until we have an entire picture. But what I'll say is this: is that I am not encouraged.
Sure. I really do think that a huge problem of battle tactics is the battle tactics being bad and having book battle tactics and stuff like that. If we have a core set, first of all, I don't like the system. I don't like round to round battle tactics ever. That's just number one. I'm predisposed against the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, like, what is the point of this thing? Why does this exist? Why do battle tactics exist? It's an important question.
Yeah. I mean, my assessment is that they are simply there to sort the pack for competitive play.
I don't think that's why they're there. That would be a really crappy design reason, and I don't think that's why the rules writers put them in, because there's nothing they ever said about scoring with that or sorting or anything like that. That's not why the rules writers put this in here. Why did the rules writers feel that battle tactics was a thing they should put in this game?
That
has been adopted. Many TOs have started using battle tactics, but that's a hell of our own making.
To differentiate, arguably, it's so that it's not just kill more. The whole game doesn't boil down to kill more, is what I'm assuming that the design philosophy is.
Yeah, I would argue that the reason they put it in the game is so there is something semi-orthogonal to do besides standing on circles. Right? And killing people on those circles.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is probably the one place where I am in the deepest disagreement with Matt Rose, and who I do believe is a really great game designer and great creator of this game and shepherd of this game. But I really do think he loves battle tactics deeply, and I really hate them in their design and think they should be yeeted into the sun in this current form.
Yep.
But given this is our design, I agree with you. I think so much comes down to, like, how are the battle tactics designed? What are the sources of those things? Right? And so on. And moreover, I would like to see hard event rules that specifically describe how scoring should be done. And battle tactics is not in that description. Right? Well, like you're sort of like how you're ranked has absolutely zero to do with how many battle tactics you achieved. Like, did you win? Did you lose? Did you tie?
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
So, I'm sure they'll do a whole article on battle tactics at some point, and we'll get deeper into it there. But I'll say, like, not jazzed. That's the simple thing. I like the design of the battle plans. Other than that, but that leads me to the next thing I wanted to get at, which will go ahead.
Here's the next question: is are battle tactics going to be random? Is it going to be a deck-based random thing, which is a real 40K thing? And, like, it could very well be draw 2 cards, choose one to do this turn.
Sure.
And if that's the case, just wait for the competitive folks to start complaining. Because if suddenly battle tactics are a random, like, out of your control thing,
it would mean they couldn't be used for scoring differentiation anymore. They'd have to be shut off immediately for that.
Well, maybe. Like maybe or maybe not, and then it just goes, like, we just go into crazy land.
Sure. I mean, I guess I like, again, there's so much unanswered here, but let's talk about what we do have on offer, Tom. We'll leave the battle tactic discussion for deeper when we get to, like, whatever. When we get the battle tactic article, we will deep dive.
Sure.
Okay. Let's talk about this twist and underdog stuff. Okay.
Sure.
So the twist in this one is basically nothing, right? It's capping at 6, so you don't go over the scoring thing. The underdog in this one's getting +1 to hit, as you said, army-wide, but only against attacking units standing on this particular objective. Like, okay. And in the Vice, the twist is just the way this thing moves, right?
Yep.
But at the end of their turn, the underdog can pick one objective and inflict D3 mortal damage on each unit contesting that objective. Roll separately for each unit. That could be potentially a lot, right?
Yeah.
Depending on how many people they have standing around there. So, if you're the underdog, you're potentially getting something every round out of the battle plan, and you're potentially getting a bonus and a bonus command point, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, do you worry, Tom, at this point? I thought a lot about this. This is, like, on my mind a lot today. How much are you concerned, Tom, about sandbagging?
I think that at some points in some scenarios it will become the right answer.
Okay.
Like it will be part of your strategy itself. I had my game 4 at Trash Clash. I had an opponent. We were
On Nexus Collapse, were you playing Nexus Collapse? Because that's the current Sandbagathon battle plan in
yeah,
3.0.
I was,
Yeah.
and he decided to sandbag and try to like play super cagey and all that. And it didn't end up working out for him because if you can just simply overwhelm the objectives, right? Like there are ways that you can play it in order that even with a bunch of collapsed removed objectives, you can still push through, and that's what I did. So that is a reality, right? Um, so I think that it will become a viable strategy in some scenarios. I don't think it'll always be the right strategy, but I think in some scenarios it will certainly be viable.
Yeah, I thought about this a lot because, like, there's a lot of discussion going around today about this, the concept of sandbagging and intentionally underdogging and stuff like that, right? And I was like, is it a problem? Because, like, everybody was sort of jumped to, like, if people are doing it, then it's a problem, right? That we just sort of, like, assumed it would be bad if people were sandbagging. And I can see certainly some downsides to it. Like a new player wouldn't necessarily think about that, right? And so would kind of just naturally give away all of these potential benefits in pursuit of victory. Like maybe. But if what that amounts to, like let's actually walk through the fact pattern that's happening there, Tom. So
Yeah.
to win, I have decided that my best strategy is to try to underscore you, right? To score less and keep the game tighter for longer. So we have a more close and competitive game for the duration. And I am putting myself in direct risk of losing, with the reward being that maybe I can pull it out and win later, but the result of it will be we have a longer, more evenly matched, more closely scored game. Is that a bad thing? What am I missing here? Doesn't that actually feel
No.
like a good thing?
Yeah, and actually, I mean, what I would go one step farther here is that I think that this is more fair than like Nexus collabs because it's explicit. The
Yeah, sure.
benefit of
Yeah, yeah.
sandbagging are explicit, so that everybody has that choice point to make. It
Yep.
is written on the war scroll, right? Where that it's less obvious. Like, yes, of course, those are going to collapse and do damage and blah blah blah. Like that's written obviously, but that's penalizing rather than benefiting, right? So that like there's an actual like psychological decision of do I avoid pain or do I like pursue this Benny?
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that like I'm okay with it, and I think it will create games that might be closer, and that's not inherently a bad thing, as you've observed.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, I can see some downsides of like there being potentially people not really understanding how to manipulate it, especially as they start. There's a bit of like new player skill learning curve there that makes the learning curve a little
Mhm.
steeper if they're playing against somebody a little more experienced. But I mean, hopefully, when new players are playing someone more experienced, that person is like actually talking through things with them and not just like kicking their teeth in, because that's not how
Mhm.
experienced players should be bringing new people into the hobby. But
Yeah.
I agree with you. It is explicit. Like I think that it might actually be good if people sandbag slightly. Like you'd have to play pretty carefully, I think, in most cases, especially given the larger points amount we're talking here. Like, what are you gonna do? Intentionally fail a battle tactic and then be down 4 points? Like that's not nothing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I my general feeling is like I think it might be fine even if it does encourage it. Uh exactly, like Nexus collapse encourage you to score 0. This encourage, well, Nexus Collapse encouraged you to score your battle tactic, and nothing else. Like you avoided objectives like they were the poison mushroom in Mario 1, right?
Nope. Nope. Took everyone, scored everyone, let him collapse everything, and then overwhelmed the original points. It was great.
Sure. That's fine. Also a strategy. But I agree with you that like Nexus Collapse doesn't like say, hey, by the by, you might want to think about this. It's sort of like a weird emergent property. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's probably fine. If like people want to try to ride the lightning, as it were, and go down some points in the hope of getting some bennies to then, I guess, win later. Okay, that feels like you're really walking a line. Like you're
like you're playing it. You're gambling. You're playing a dice game. Congratulations.
Yeah, I think I'm probably okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially because we are still playing a dice game, which means that bad dice rolls doesn't matter what your +1 to hit means nothing with a bunch of ones.
Yep. Exactly. All right, so season rules. Extra nuance and theming to your games. Let's hope we stick to that word nuance. Whereas I would call the current seasons the determinative factor. Okay. This rule lets you pick from one of 3 powerful abilities to give a single honor guard unit in your general's regiment. Since these abilities are chosen during the deployment phase, you can use them to adapt to your opponent's roster. Okay, so what's on offer here? Honor. So I pick my thing, pick a friendly unit in your general's regiment that is not your general to be the honor guard. Okay, you can pick a unit in reserve. If you use this ability, you cannot use any other honor guard abilities. So assumingly I think they said there's some list of what they say. 3. Okay, so there are 3 of these total. Okay, so this is the bodyguard one. All right, great. Subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic of enemy units' melee weapons while they are in combat with your general if both of the following is true. The honor guard is wholly within 6 inches of your general, and the honor guard did not charge this turn. Okay. And I like how they say here the defensive choice is bodyguard. This is nice. What this tells me, Tom, is that we're probably going to have like a defensive choice, an offensive choice, and a utility choice. Yes. Yep. This is the way. This is the way.
Yep. This looks like a great ability for Ard Boys. Just saying.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Like to take if you've got that shield unit in your, backing up your general, yeah, Hundo P, man. Like I actually like this quite a bit. This does not feel hyper determinative. This is not Blizzard, right? No. This is a -1 to attacks when you're fighting one specific unit on the table under certain conditions, right? Yeah. Namely, the other unit still existing and not charged, which is a good caveat on this. So they can't like force it on you, right?
Yep.
So like that's very clear role definition. That's very clear playing into like this particular strategy of your army. I love that this is the deployment phase. If this is the season rules and then just stop here, okay? Like if this is it, then I fully support this kind of season rule. This sounds great. If this is the thing, if I choose this between this and like 2 other imaginary things that are here, right?
Yep.
Great. A+. If we stop there, if they have the wherewithal, the temerity, the stomach to actually stop writing words, okay? And just go, you know what? That's enough. Then I'm fully supportive of this and love it.
Yeah.
If there's like 2 more pages of season rules after this, I'm back. No, I'm off the train again. It's that easy.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is it. But I like this. This is a cool ability. So.
Did you appreciate the triple asterisk that's at the bottom?
You'll note that grand strategies are not part of this match play season. Yes. Yeah, I think didn't they say that before? I thought they said that before. I
don't know. I think it's new, but what I had to laugh about is like there's no more grand strategies, and I love this. It's like actually that's not true. That there's not grand strats as part of this match play season.
Yeah, sure.
That means that in the future they may be in a future match play season.
Sure. I mean, like they could, I guess. Hopefully they're just not. I would love to see them just, Oh yeah, they'll have a whole article on changes to battle tactics soon. Yeah, well, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Um, I I really want to see that battle tactic article, but I also would love to see a season where the battle tactics are not anything like this, because they can rip and replace that whole module, right? It could be like, in this GHB, this is the new battle tactics module we're using. Here it is,
Yep.
right? And it doesn't look anything like that anymore, and it works like this now, right? It's a 12-month season, Mandelies, because it says General's Handbook 2024-2025, so you know it's the full 12 months. So,
Yep.
Okay, cool. I mean, seems pretty good. Like, I'm here for it. There's a lot of good and bad in this article. Like, honestly, I like this one a lot. I like this article a lot. I'm pretty excited about the battle plan design. I love the terrain rules. That's all really good. Season rules look nice. Again, assuming we stop here. Underwhelmed by the fact there's only 3 battle plans in the First Blood battle pack. There should be 6, but otherwise they seem like they're designed well enough. The twists and underdog rules seem fine and fair enough. And battle tactics is a big giant TBD based on the article that'll be coming. So there you go. That's my take, right? I mean, is that about where you're living?
Yeah. That's about where I'm at. Yeah, I think all that's fair.
But what we want to know is what you think. Hey, you out there, what do you think about all this? Are you excited? What was your problems? What do you see as challenges? What are the questions you've got? Let's find out. At any rate, I think that's pretty much it. Tom, anything you want to say about what we've seen so far? You continue to be excited for 4th?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm so excited that I may have other stuff happening. So we'll see about that.
Okay.
That's all I'll say. So I'm
Fine.
excited.
I'm pretty stoked for it. Like, all in all, I'm seeing a lot more good than questionable, and more questionable than bad. There are some things here that give me pause. Like, I'm not going to simp for this just because it's a new thing, right? But for the most part, I have seen a lot of things that I'm pretty much looking forward to. Good change to the season type stuff, making it light touch. Like, a lot of good things here. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out in the end as they release it. For all of you out there, hey, if you haven't hit like yet, guess what? You still can. You can still hit that button, even right now at the end. Great. Do it. Subscribe. Do all those fun things that make all those fun dings. Become cooler. Tell your friends about it. And the show. Why not? At any rate, thank you so much for watching. Drop down in the comments below the thing you're excited for, or worried about, or questionable, or that you think is going to be bad, or whatever. What are the questions you want to see answered? If you want to support the show, hey, lots of ways you can do so. There's some links down there, affiliate links. You can check those out. Buy those products. Doesn't cost you anything extra. In fact, it often saves you money, and gives a kickback to the show. There's a merch store. If you want to get Tom's little guy on your shirt and show your rep and Team Tom, or any of our other people, you can go check that out. There's also our Patreon. If you're trying to get an army painted up for the new edition, that Patreon's focused on review and feedback and taking your next step on your hobby journey. We appreciate all the support. But you can always just share it, click buttons, leave us on in the background. Bring up the Warhammer Weekly playlist on your computer if you're going away for a week. Just bring that up, start the playlist, see if it finishes by the time you come home from vacation. Who knows, right? Just let it go. Just let it scroll. That'd be great. Anytime you're leaving the house and there's no one there, just have Warhammer Weekly on. That's what I say. Leave it as entertainment for your pets. Pets love me. So, at any rate, thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate you watching. Tom, thank you as always, sir. And for all of you out there, we'll see you next Wednesday.